Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And as you've probably guessed from the opening montage, this particular episode is about Spider-Man. But not just any Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. Those who may or may not know, Garfield only did 2 Spider-Man films as The Amazing Spider-Man. Until his recent reappearance in the latest version this year, where he finally got his third film, saved the girl, got his redemption, and played a brilliant supporting character role. Well, it transpires that the rapprochement that Garfield had with Sony during the making of that film has now led to the possibility, no stronger, still all rumours, so take this with a pinch of salt, but it looks like he may be getting his third, as it were, film in the trilogy that never happened. And we'll have a look at this article. It's in Giant Freaking Robot, and I think it would be brilliant. I like Garfield, I must admit. So yeah, let's have a look. So here's the article, as you see, and is Andrew Garfield actually returning for Spider-Man 3 after all this time? Question mark. Well, I really hope so. I like Andrew Garfield. I loved his Spider-Man. It's a shame he only got 2. He was treated appallingly, really, by Sony. They effectively fired him for one minor breach, and it left them without a Spider-Man for quite some time until sort of Tom Holland took over, and he was brought in primarily needed for should we say, for Sony to retain, should we say, the copyright and the ownership. So they brought him in. Then of course he got leased across into the MCU, which was fine. I didn't mind that at all. I liked him in there. I think Tom Holland's Spider-Man is an excellent Spider-Man. I'll be honest, I like all the Spider-Men. They're all different. It's like the Bonds or the Doctor Who's. You have different actors playing them, but they're all good in their ways. They all have differences. They all have their different strengths and things like that. So yeah, but I did like Garfield, and I thought. I thought it was particularly sad in 2 when he fails to save the girl, and that broke him. And then of course in No Way Home, he saves the girl. So he gets his redemption arc, which is nice. But we can move in because things are afoot. Basically, the game's afoot. So we'll look at the article in full here. The Spider-Man universe under Sony's banner is very messy right now. No way, eh? God, who'd have thunk it? There are a bunch of awesome villains around, like Venom and Morbius. Well, there's Venom. Morbius, not so much. But no web-slinger to fight them. While some folks enjoyed seeing these baddies on their own, the giant Spidey-sized hole is very noticeable. Now it seems like the studio is trying to fill the gap by bringing back Andrew Garfield for The Amazing Spider-Man 3. But how, I hear you say? Well, of course, if you've been following, you'll know exactly how. The Amazing Spider-Man series of films were supposed to spawn several spin-offs, allowing Sony to create their own cinematic universe. But things fell apart when, in 2015, Andrew Garfield was dismissed from the franchise after he failed to appear at an event where the third movie was to be announced. At the time, Sony Pictures president Amy Pascal had also been in touch with Kevin Feige about having Marvel assist with another reboot of the Spider-Man franchise. Ugh. Once that deal was signed, Garfield's tenure as the Wallcrawler was officially over, and that's where Tom Holland came in and joined into the MCU. And again, I have nothing to say against Tom Holland. I think he's excellent. He plays Spider-Man as a kid. I mean, initially as a kid, he's a young adult, but he's finding his way in the world. He hasn't got the greatest confidence. and he's reliant on others. And I just think his take on the role was fantastic. So I've nothing against Tom Holland, but I did like Garfield's. I think he was a more mature Spider-Man. But anyway, fast forward to the big Spider-Man team-up of 2021, and any hard feelings that remained after the actor was axed have disappeared. According to Geekosity, Sony is even hoping that Marvel Studios will assist with The Amazing Spider-Man 3. But this won't impact any of the events in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because as seen in Spider-Man No Way Home, the Tick Tick Boom star's Spidey exists in a different universe in the multiverse. Sony may also have a plot ready for Andrew Garfield's starer. Rumours suggest that a line in the Tom Holland movie may have been an Easter egg for The Amazing Spider-Man 3. In one of the film's lighter moments, Andrew Garfield told his heroic counterparts that he's never fought an alien. And this could be the lead-in writers need to bring Tom Hardy's Venom into the fold. And at that moment, you've got me. Because you've got Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man and Tom Hardy's Venom, and put them together, and I'm thinking, bums on seat, laddie, bums on seat. That is going to be a $1 billion film. Straight off, that will be a $1 billion film before it's out the gates. You can pencil that in. Moving on. When it comes to the legal stuff, Sony is open to a deal similar to the one they have over Tom Holland's Spider-Man. In that agreement, Marvel and Disney get 5% of the gross box office takings, as well as all merchandising revenue. The home of Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man pockets the rest. Sony scooped up the movie rights to Spider-Man in 1999 when Marvel was recovering from bankruptcy and had licensed out several characters to film studios to help with the financial strain. Since then, Marvel managed to regain the rights for most of its characters, except for Spider-Man, who is still the most popular character not owned by Marvel Studios. And generally is. I mean, the Spider-Man comics are regularly the top-selling comics. Spider-Man, when Stan Lee, sort of introduced Spider-Man back in the 60s, he was an instant hit and has remained a massive, massive hit. These days, movie bosses across both studios are getting along famously. They've stopped competing. This is the thing. They've seen the wisdom of working either directly together or in the very least hand in glove and not treading on each other's toes, which is better, I think, for us, the viewer. And if you have a storyline in, say, Marvel, you can use aspects of in Sony. That's great. And of course this was used because you had the Thanos clique in Marvel, in the MCU, but then with Spider-Man, the second Spider-Man film with Tom Holland, of course, it was everyone came back. And so there's the callback to that. So they were allowed to use that across because it was the same universe and there was no rights issues. Obviously, it was a gentleman's agreement or some such. There was some kind of agreement that they could do it. But that's absolutely fine. And so you can cross-pollinate and stop rivaling each other and sort of become unofficial partners. And that's just great for everyone. So let's hope that it actually happens with the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. Spurred on by how well audience received all the Spider-Men in No Way Home, Andrew Garfield could finally settle some unfinished business with his Rogues Gallery. So far, the list of supervillains for Andrew Garfield's Amazing Spider-Man to fight includes Venom and Morbius, who exist in the same universe, but with no real links to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and Vulture, who was transported to Sony's universe through a purple rift during the first end credit scene in Morbius. In the second scene, Vulture approaches Morbius to form a team, hinting at a future Sinister Six movie. So there's a lot of room for manoeuvre. You could spin out a much larger franchise, especially if you've got multiversal Spider-Men. Tobey Maguire, looking at you, son. You're a bit fat. Lose a bit of the chub. You can come back. They can CGI you down a little bit. It'd be nice to get another Tobey Maguire. Or new Spider-Men, new villains. I think it's limitless. It's just the writer's imagination. Venom, I think, is the only one where you've taken a villain and made a film about the villain, and it's worked. Morbius, I felt weak. I felt the ending particularly weak. It was a bit ploddy, and the CGI looked very 1990s. It wasn't. It was rushed, I think, probably rushed, but it wasn't actually a bad film. I just think it was the production was poor rather than the film was poor, but it kind of reflects, doesn't it? But anyway, I'm very hopeful that this would be good. I'm very, very optimistic that it would be a massive success. And I'm hoping beyond hope that it materialises, becomes a thing, and gets produced, made, released, and gives me another excuse to go to the cinema and munch me popcorn. Anyway, I'll come up and round off this video, and yeah, here's hoping. So yeah, I mean, if we could get Garfield back, like I say, it opens up the door to getting Tobey Maguire back, and opens the door to new Spider-Man. So we could have a whole franchise, different universes, bad Spider-Man, weird Spider-Man, you know. It's just exciting. It's an exciting thing, and I'm very much in favour of it. And especially as I say, I like Garfield as an actor, and I liked him as Spider-Man. Although if you notice though, it means that 2/3 of the Spider-Men have been English. Seems a bit greedy of us, really, doesn't it? But there we are. I think so. I mean, tell me what you think. Put it in the comments. Let me know if you think Garfield would make a welcome addition if he was to be given his third film. But anyway, I'll round it off here. If you like what you see on the channel, please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Ring the notification bell for future output. Leave a like, leave a comment, and until next time, stay safe, stay well, and goodbye.